equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the world of corporate and government contracting. It's not just a show, it's a movement. So get ready for another dynamic journey as we wake up the world to a new era of opportunities and empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, President Larry Iver. Larry Iver. Larry Iver. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Wake Up Show Chicago. My name is Larry Ivory. I am the president and CEO of the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce and also the chairman of the board of the National Black Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. And I am excited again to come before you to share some, exciting information that we think will help you get to the next level, grow your business, and that's what we're all about. Hey, but more importantly, I have an incredible, wonderful co-host who is co-hosting, and I'm live in the studio this time, LaDonna. So I'm not
I know.
at home or someplace. I'm here in the studio with LaDonna Ray, the one and only, the incredible, incredible LaDonna Ray.
We got to do better than that. I'll tell you what. I appreciate the accolades. I really do. But this is definitely a growth muscle tear seat to sit in when it comes to the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. But I want to let everybody know that we are powered by the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce and that we are sponsored by Wind Creek Casino Southland. Thank you to them. Big thank you to our sponsors. There's plenty more. If you go to our website, ilbcc.org, you will see how we keep the lights on. Okay. Also, you can become a member. That also helps with keeping the lights on. When you become a member, you have access based on the level of membership to Larry, to our resources, to our databases, and to procurement. And shall I go on about Lobby Day coming up? But if you're not a member, membership has its benefits, and you have to be a paid member because no money, no mission. I'm just, look, I've learned a lot in the past 10 years because I've been with you since 2016. Started off as a just being thrown into the water.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I remember when you came down to the convention.
Yes.
And you were the mistress of ceremony
Mm-hmm.
at a time where our person didn't show up and you stepped right in.
Yeah.
And we know you were gifted right then and there.
I really do appreciate that, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. But anyway, what is our topic today? Because, there's a lot of stuff going on in Illinois.
There's a lot, LaDonna. One of the things that people say, well, Larry, why is this chamber? What's the purpose of the chamber? And I want to take just a moment to convey to the audience, in which I think they probably have a pretty good feel, but the only reason we exist is to help grow and impact Black businesses and get them to the next level. And we are a vanguard. It is our job and our responsibility to find things that impact us, either positive or negative. If it's negative, our job is to try to get rid of get rid of it, so that we can continue before. If it's positive, our job is to enhance it. So today, I think, LaDonna, the conversation should be on what's really happening in the state of Illinois. We know there's a lot happening in Washington, D.C. In terms of eradicating affirmative action.
Oh, affirmative
and then
action, DEI.
also at the same time. And so we think that Illinois should be a safe haven when it comes to the different ideology, of a state of the magnitude with so many African American leaders in the right position. It should be a prime place where Black business should be able to excel and do well. And so today we're going to unpack a couple things and talk about kind of some current situations that we want to bring to light as it relates to a procurement. Because we know the only way from poverty to prosperity is through entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we have to invest in Black businesses. And let me give you another quick statistic, is that 90% or 90-something percent of our business are solopreneurs, and they make less than $50,000. That's alarming. So our goal is to how do we move people from being solopreneurs to having 4 and 5 employees? Because the SBA shows us if we do that and we go from one person to 5 people, the revenue goes up to about $500,000. So we want to see that happen. We want more solopreneurs to become people who employ other people at the same time. And so that's why, LaDonna, we're talking about today. We're going to talk about what's happening in the state in terms of procurement and some of the challenges I think we see. And it's really to inform our members and our people and everybody that can listen to what we have to say about what's going on. And one of the things that we talked
Well, how
about,
do you connect the dots of the solopreneur and the state contracts?
well, the solopreneur, anytime you're a solopreneur and you're professional service or something, it means that you got yourself. You can only make as much money as you can bring in yourself.
Almost like being a freelancer
A freelancer
versus an entrepreneur.
versus an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Absolutely, Don. That's perfect. When you're a freelancer, you just do what you do
Hmm.
and you get paid for what you do. When you're an entrepreneur, you have other people working for you and they carry out your mission because you have a much bigger mission than just doing business yourself. And we need to move people from freelancers to entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're trying to do.
Hmm.
So going back to what we were just saying, LaDonna, is that you and I have been talking about something that, I'm really proud that you've been engaged and involved in this conversation with your IT background. But some time ago, we took a look at something that was alarming. And what was alarming was that we had approximately 5,600 to 5,800 BEP certified firms in the state of Illinois. And we went from 5,800 down to approximately, give or take some, about 2,800, anywhere from 2,800 to 3,000, give or take a little bit. And then we went from 2,500 BEP African American certified firm within that 5,600 down to about 947.
Now, I'm concerned because we have talked about this, and I just want to sound the alarm on why everyone listening should be concerned. The BEP certified firms should go up every year,
Absolutely.
not significantly drop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And why is that important? Because when we're doing goal setting is based upon availability. And if all of a sudden 50% or more than 50% of your BEP certified firms are not in that equation, then you're setting lower goals based upon the availability. If they don't exist in the system, then the system is evaluating the availability. If they're not there, they can't be evaluated and put into the goal setting.
Hmm.
And so what happened was that some time ago, back approximately 2 years ago,
Yeah. Coming up.
approximately 2 years ago, they put out an RFP that was designed to enhance the BEP process and upgrade the system. They selected a firm that Vivian USA was a firm that was selected. And that firm basically got a number of extensions and finally launched its system. And when it came out, the system did not really, in my opinion, and I think everyone would agree, and we have people who are working with BEP or CEI, they can call in and let us correct us if we're wrong about anything. But it was designed
Oh, let's give the
fundamentally.
number because I don't want them to say we didn't know what the number was. It's 773-591-1690. 773-591-1690.
You can call in. And if you don't call in, you can write us at the chamber and say, hey, I want to come on the show. I want to correct something that you said because we want our information to be accurate. We want people to know the facts.
And that's
And
info at
yeah.
ilbcc.org.
Thank you, LaDonna.
Hmm.
So as we were saying, LaDonna, we went from those numbers and they selected a firm, Vivian USA, who then had the responsibility to upgrade the system. And it took it a while to kind of get and launch the system. When they launched the system, it did not communicate with the other systems. And therefore, we lost a lot of businesses that were not in the system by which they select people by setting their goal. And they had availability. So if they're not available, you had lower goal setting.
So let's just I want to make this clear and plain because I can see this in my head because IT is definitely, it can be convoluted. You had a system in place. We had a system in place. 5,600 members.
Approximately.
Okay. Yeah. Certified firms were in there approximately. They upgraded which they went ahead and created a new system.
Right. Put it out for bid. It's RFP.
Absolutely. And when they updated, suddenly, though the numbers dropped
Dramatically.
significantly. And now, if though the ones that have been dropped, there's a lengthy red taped process to get back on the new system when they were already there.
Yeah. And here's what I say, whether it be lengthy or short, the problem is that they didn't create the problem.
Right.
And it's not appropriate to put the onus on the black business or minority business because they didn't create the problem. The system created the problem. And they have an obligation to correct the system because they had nothing to do with the system not doing what it was designed to do. And that was in the RFP. Now, what was interesting, I find out that a lot of the evaluation team, because sometimes when you have a company, you have an evaluation team. And that evaluation team did not pick this particular company. That wasn't the company of choice based upon the evaluation team. But the evaluation team evaluates, and then someone makes a decision. Well, whoever made that decision, as an example, based upon the information I saw, Robin Street, the chief of staff, who's also data research, some title in that case, he made the decision to choose this particular firm. Okay, whatever reason he chose it for, he chose that firm because his name is on the documentation that exists. Okay, that information was and they overrode the selection committee or the evaluation committee and selected this firm. When they selected this firm did not deliver the number of people, regardless of whatever that. Now, if they want to come on the show and explain how come it didn't do it, is that was in the RFP, and why they chose a firm that was inadequate and helped to make lower goals. So here's what I'm concerned about.
This sounds very close to the Kristi Noem situation that just took place in the White House.
It is.
Yeah.
It's exactly that, in my opinion, is that something is wrong here.
It's been going on, obviously.
And this is getting close to 2 years where this has been going on, and we still have significantly low levels. Now, here's the real problem, ladies and gentlemen. Because we've had the system in place and we have lower numbers across the board, and they're setting goals based upon availability. And keep in mind, you went from 2,500 African Americans down to 900 and something African Americans. And so when you're setting the goal is set upon availability. So we had substantially lower goals over the last couple of years. How many contracts came through the system based upon the availability, and we had lower goals across the board? So it's like the tariffs was considered illegal, and people are now looking for, companies are looking for, pay me back. Since what you did was illegal, pay me back for what you've done. We're not saying pay us back. We're saying fix the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, fix the problem, get us back to where we were at so we can grow and continue to grow so we can improve the goals.
Have they informed everybody? Because I get a lot of messages or mail at home that says there was a data breach. Have they informed everyone, all 5,600 plus people, that there was a problem? All 2,500 minorities, Black-owned businesses, has everyone been notified that this is an issue?
I would submit, and I don't know with certainty, but I would say probably yes. And let me also point out that there are some great people involved in this process, and I want to give a shout out to Bruce Montgomery, who's done a great job in being an advocate on the inside in terms of talking about the issue.
Yeah.
But it's our job from a chamber perspective to make sure that everybody understands what's going on and the impact that it's having. Because the other side of that, LaDonna, is that we went from those numbers, setting lower goals, and guess what? When they issue procurements and contracts, sometimes most of those contracts are 5-year contracts with a 5-year renewal, which means that's 10 years that you started off with a contract that should have had a 15 or 20 or 30% goal that had a 3% goal. So for that period of time, 5 years and beyond, in some cases, you've had 3% instead of 20% or instead of 15% or instead of 30%. So those are dollars that the minority community didn't get. Not only African American, but Hispanics, women, people with disability they did not get that participation because that participation did not exist based upon the availability in the goal setting.
So here's what I'm hearing. If they had subcontractors under a prime, they're able to bring them in as solopreneurs, and then they're able to expand into entrepreneurs and then become a prime because they have this plate to eat off of. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the black industries, or the black, what am I trying to say? The firms, that's the
Mhm.
word. The black firms are not able to expand because they're not part of the cookie.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what concerns me as a chamber president is that it's my goal, my job to watch out for anything that adversely impacts our businesses. This adversely impacts our business in a significant way. And unfortunately, there's not enough outcry.
I haven't heard anything about this. I mean, I'm at WVON Monday through Thursday. I pay attention to the shows. I have not seen any news flashes, any breaking news, any type of coverage based on what is going on behind closed doors at the BEP Council. How do they make their decision? I mean, who what have they already know that there's been an issue? You've raised concerns. There's been a meeting,
Hmm.
but don't they have to meet to even figure out what these goals are? Because if 30% goal is that that's a law, correct, in the
Right.
state of Illinois.
Yeah. Let's dig into that for a moment.
All
Remember,
right.
a couple weeks ago, we had Senator James Claiborne,
Mm-hmm.
who was the majority leader of the Senate. He left the Senate, and he is now on. But he came on the show to talk about when they passed the legislation. The Black Caucus did something historical. They passed legislation that had dealt with health care and a number, and the legislation that I was most excited about was the legislation they passed to move procurement on the BEP from 20% to 30%. That was a 50% increase. I was like, hallelujah,
Mm-hmm.
30%. Now, unfortunately, here's what happened. They had a 30%. Now, keep in mind, when legislation gets passed, there's certain things that has to happen. One, it has to be debated in committee
Mm-hmm.
on the House side and the Senate side.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be able to get votes enough to get out of committee, and then it gets called to the floor by the Speaker of the House or by the President of the Senate. They call it and they vote on it, and when it votes on it, and if you get a majority, then that legislation passes and it goes to the governor's desk. The governor sign off on it, which means this legislation was thoroughly debated, thoroughly understood, and it was passed into law. And it said that 30% of all procurement in the state of Illinois would have a 30% goal on it. Now, what's interesting, and here's why the Black Caucus should be, livid about it. If they were to go back and do a FOIA and take a look at all of the contracts that come out
Mm-hmm.
and see how many of those contracts really had a 30% goal on it, they would be alarmed.
So they do an annual report to show how many contracts were awarded in any particular year. And then they also have to show how many were awarded to minority owned businesses.
Right. All that data is there
Mm-hmm.
in the annual report. And I think the point we make is that the caucus did something that was historical and was exciting. The problem was that once they did it, there were other parties, I believe, who worked very hard to make sure that it wasn't in compliance. And no one sounded the alarm loud enough to bring attention to the fact that it was a 30% aspirational goal. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when people say aspirational, they can get it turned around because sometimes they say, well, aspiration means that, well, they don't have to do it. It's not really that important. If we get there, we get there. That's not what aspirational means.
Mm-hmm.
Aspirational means that you have to show a good faith effort.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the seal. I mean, that's the bogey that you got to hit 30%. And then you have to be able, when if you can't get to that 30%, you got to show that you made a good faith effort. That means that number one, that you sent it out to all the qualified NEXCOs and the people who could do the work. Number two, you had to advertise it across the board so it's not just in a silo where no one can get it.
Mm-hmm.
And it has other factors. There's five components of a good faith effort. And let me point out to the listening audience, and I need you to hear this loud and clear,
And we see you callers. Hold, don't hang up. Go ahead.
is that the Capital Development Board does a better job than anybody else at this issue. Now, I don't say they do a good job of everything, but in this issue, if you're on the Capital Development Board and you win a contract, and you have a 15, 17, or 18% goal tied to that, and they find out because they have a good faith committee. And that good faith committee will take a look and examine, did you make a good faith effort? And they can go back and check. And they find you didn't make a good faith effort. You know what they do? They take the contract from you and they pass it on to the next bidder. Even though the bidder was higher, even though it's going to cost the state a little more money, they pass it on because they're serious about the commitment of the good faith effort and meeting the goal. In general services, we don't have that type of compliance. Now, I know CAI is trying to do some of that, but the fact of the matter is we got a lot of contracts coming out of the state that have 3% goal, some with 0% goals.
You said have 3% goal?
3% goals, 4% goals, 5% goals, really low
What
goals.
happened to the 30%?
They simply ignore it.
So the law, we don't have to follow the law. I can run a red light.
Well,
I don't have to pay my taxes.
The procurement expert will argue that in the legislation, there are some loopholes in the legislation that was passed by the Black Caucus, and with the aspirational. And then they point to Colette Holt, who says that here's how we evaluate goal setting, and that it's based upon availability of other factors. Now, in my piece, if you pass its law, you don't supersede the law. The law says 30%. Okay, that's what the law said. That's what the governor signed off on. And they say, well, it can be because we didn't have enough people. Now, we agree that if there's only 2 people, you can't put a 30% goal on a $100 million contract, which means $30 million, because there's no capacity to handle that.
Right.
We get that.
Yeah.
But you should show a good faith effort. And you should start off that with a 30% goal. And then you should justify how come you can't reach that goal, which means that you got to make the good faith effort in order to show that it didn't happen.
Yeah, it's not looking good, Larry. And just in knowing the things that we have shared with our listeners for a couple of weeks, you really should be outraged because this trickles down. This helps our community, and we're not asking anyone to give us anything. When you go to school, you study, you start your business, you go through the process. We keep going through the process. And then when we get to the finish line, they move it.
They move the finish line.
So can you share with us real quick, I'll give you like a minute to share with us that story you mentioned about the one, they didn't want to do the 2%, they wanted to do the 1. Can you share that?
Yeah, well, back years ago, when Charlotte Robert and I was on the BEP Council, and we held the BEP Council accountable. And we're going to talk about the BEP Council. In 11 months, they haven't met, and we're going to get into how critical that is. But there was a firm that was a firm that was doing healthcare for the prison system, and they convinced the CMS to lower the goal from 5% that they had put on it down to 1%, and they held us hostage by saying that there's nobody else that can do this, and if you don't give us a 1% goal, we're going to walk away. And legal counsel decided to yield to that. We found out about it, and we took issue with it.
When you say we, you and Charlotte Roberts, meaning the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce,
Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce,
and Charlotte Roberts.
Charlotte Roberts and the BEP team, we found about it, and we made them take the contract back. And so they had to put the contract out for bid again.
But somebody was already qualified.
Well, you had Dr. Jeffrey Sterling, who came on and bid it.
So why didn't they just give it to the next bidder?
Well, in this case, they put it out for bid because they have an option to, when there's a bid, you can go to the next bidder or you can put it out for rebid.
And they rather just put it back out there.
Well, that's what they did. They put it out there, and what ended up happening is that there was a level of points that you had to get. And even though they were completely unsatisfied with the current vendor that was out of Pennsylvania, fundamentally, they still chose that same vendor based upon what we consider to be subjective evaluation, okay? And what I mean by that, it was subjective. So what we did, and Dr. Sterling did, he followed a what you call a protest. He won the protest. When you win the protest, it means that you were right.
Right.
That what they did was incorrect based upon the CPO, at that time, Ellen Daly, and she's still the current CPO. And when something goes wrong with procurement and there's not transparency, you hold her accountable because that's her job, to make sure we have a fair and transparent procurement. That's the role of the CPO. And there's 4 CPOs, one in general service, one in Capital Development Board, IDOT, and there's one other sector, IT, I think. But no, IT is under general services. And so what ended up happening, Dr. Sterling still was not selected. And even though he won the protest, he still was not selected. And they still end up doing the emergency contract for the same firm. This is what I call economic genocide on black business that happens. And if you don't have a chamber or someone watching this and fighting for it, this is what happens all the time, more times than people care to mention. So I'm going to pivot for a moment, LaDonna, because I think we should take some
Yeah,
calls.
we got a bank of calls. Like
But-
the phones are lit up.
But let me do this one quick thing
Yeah.
before we take the call. The BEP Council has the ultimate responsibility for oversight in terms of BEP participation. Okay, statutory.
Yeah.
It has its power. And the governor selects 13 people, no, 21 people. No, governor selects 13
No,
people.
no, no. I got this. So the governor selects 13 people,
Mhm.
but the statutory or the statutes, the ones that are required to be there, there's 8 of them.
8 of them.
And the
Absolutely.
majority of them look like you and me.
Mhm.
How is that possible that they're not meeting when they have to meet?
Well, here's the problem. In order to be able to conduct business and carry out your responsibility, there has to be a quorum by law. And they have not been able to have a quorum for 11 months.
What do you mean not been able to? We're not in COVID. What's the problem?
Well, the problem is that people don't show up. Now, my piece is that if you have statutory, like DHS
Mhm.
and Capital Development Board, Jesse Martinez, then they are required to be there at the council. So you got 8 people you used to have automatically. So you only need 3 more people
Mhm.
in order to have a quorum to conduct business. Now, why is that important? It's important because only the BEP Council can declare a sheltered market. A sheltered market is one of the most powerful tools we have to correct economic injustice against our own people in business, because it says that at every BEP Council meeting, there shall be an opportunity to discuss discrimination. And if you find there is discrimination, you shall establish a sheltered market to correct the
I'm
discrimination.
concerned about the word shall.
Shall says, it must be done.
All right.
It didn't say may.
Not
It
may.
didn't say could.
Right.
It says shall.
Mhm.
In order to correct it, and you can have negotiated and non-negotiated bid. Now, guess what? We hadn't had a sheltered market in 2 to 3 years. Okay, it's been that long since we had a sheltered
But the
market.
discrimination is evident.
Well, because if you don't meet, only the BEP Council can declare it. Now, my piece is that even though there are people working hard to make it happen, it ain't happening.
Hmm.
I don't want to hear excuses. I need to have it fixed. So get rid of the people who are there, and there's 21 people. All of the people by statute should be there regardless, because that's their responsibility.
Well, we need to call them out. I mean, there's a whole list. This is public information, and I have it right here on my screen.
It's covered the list, but maybe you want to take calls.
Take calls. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I asked you guys, please don't hang up. Let's go to Maria. Hey, Maria, you're live.
Yes, hello, LaDonna. Hello, Mr. Ivory and WVON family. I wanted to, first of all, let's get down to the nuts and bolts, okay? I'm a retired clerk of a court, so I know about the people and all the bureaucratic red tape and the procurement, and I'm learning a lot from you because some of this I'm rusty on, but I'm freelancing now. But even when I was working, my father, he always raised us to have a business of your own. I don't care if it's selling Kool-Aid. He always talked about the icicles that he's going to get on the corner. And so I learned entrepreneurship from my father. But I also learned, because he hired a lot of people to do work in his buildings, and he was a Chicago policeman. First, he was a bus driver with CPA. So I learned a lot just growing up in his household. And one of the things I learned, because I had, as an entrepreneur, I had employees that worked for me. Usually I couldn't have even up to 5, because sometimes I would be teaching language in the schools and I would pay people to assist me.
Miss Maria, I'm going to ask
Yes.
you to get to the point of it, because
I
we have
am
a
getting
lot of
to the
calls.
point.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just need you to.
I'm just
okay.
okay.
I
All
mean,
right. I'm
okay.
with you.
All right. So the first thing, the point I was, because I want to join the commerce and I want to know what level. The second point that I was making is that one of the reasons why many people do not have employees, because right now the reason why I choose the freelance is because I want to train other people to become their own entrepreneurs and independent contractors. So I pay people, because if you're employed, if you are an entrepreneur, and many Black people cannot afford to pay at the levels, the health insurance, because as you have other responsibilities. If you have employees, you have to have certain types of health insurance, and there's all kinds of things that the average small entrepreneur business in the community of Black entrepreneurs cannot afford to do for employees. So it's better, I found out just by watching my father manage employees with his buildings. And, he could only do so much, all right? And he had a lot of them. My father believed in hiring Black folks, okay? That's
Absolutely.
what he did.
I love that.
Okay.
Well, Maria, we're going to grab your number.
Now, will you? Okay,
mhm.
Sure. And I'll come and later on. I can give you insight like some
Yeah.
of these things, and you could teach me. So I know
Absolutely.
I only have a small time for sound bites. That's why I talk so fast when I call here.
No, I
Hey, Maria,
appreciate it.
let me say, I thank you, and I look forward to you joining the chamber and
Mhm.
working together, because we're going to have lobby day, and we're going to go down to Springfield with numbers, and we're going to push the agenda of Black business, and we're going to make sure that the legislators understand what's important to us.
Mhm.
Because, like Ken Duncan used to say, there's no discrimination when it comes to collecting taxes.
I know
There
that's
ought to
right.
be no discrimination when it comes to contract. And guys, we are getting done here. What's happening
Okay,
here is just
Marie,
about
don't
criminals.
hang up, Marie. Okay. Shapira's gonna get your number. She got it. Okay. Israel, hey, you live.
Thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
Much appreciated. King Israel, though. I know y'all be forgetting to say that, but it's all good. I'm outraged. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, because I've been going to this lobby day with my brother on the phone with you since I don't know how many years, and we lost some soldiers since then. Mark Allen and Bob Dale and all them men. We went down there with Bob Dale.
Yeah, I remember, man.
Yeah, so them people almost had a heart attack. And let's get back on that. Who is this black? Who is the head of the Black Caucus y'all talking about?
Well, with the head of the Black Caucus, there's a number of people, and I know there's.
I just need some names,
Ms.
because
Collins.
these Negroes trying to get these seats now, and you saying they ain't speaking up, man. I'm ready to call out some names, Larry. You know how I get out, man. Our
Well,
children out here dying in Chicago. I don't know about Peoria, but we
Mhm.
dying, man, because of no businesses.
it is, but it is one of the most serious things that I think is in front of Black people is the lack of economic participation
I
that
know.
we can take a
Matt
look at.
McGill was on the other day talking about politics. I'm not a big business run politics. So, man, we got to get the right message out. I ain't going to take too much time, but I need some names. What list you got, LaDonna? Whose name on that list
Well,
you
yeah, I'm
got?
looking at the board members right here for BEP Council. We've got Natalie Coleman. I mean, it's a long list. Edith De La Cruz, Bola Delano, Dr. Terrence Duncan, Brandy Evans, Gabriella Garza, Corey Gold, David
You get that list
Hansen.
to me?
Yeah, I'm
Because I
gonna
know
get it to
last
you.
time I called in, Larry, you would ask for my number. I'll give you my number
I
publicly.
tell you what. Oh yeah,
773
go ahead.
655-1309, because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm fighting for my grandchildren now. 773-655-1309. Because every time I call, be on here, just like somebody calling me now, child with no damn call ID. King Israel on the move. I
I know
love
that's
y'all.
right. Let's do
I
it.
got
Let's
you,
do
Bob.
it.
Thanks
All
a
right,
lot.
let's move on to Karen real quick. Popcorn style. Hey, Karen.
Hey, good day, you all.
Good
Larry,
morning.
good day. Let's be real. Let's just be real, because like King Israel said, this is let's make it clear that those that did get contracts did not teach those how to become secure for the procurement. Let's just break it down where our people understand. I was in transportation. I started in 1999. I did everything I was supposed to do. Other people couldn't get contracts. So guess what I did? I helped secure them to get contracts with no fee. I didn't charge people. I taught them how to do it. Did over 20 companies. We became the number one. We changed our billing. We helped one another. Secured contracts for the procurement. Larry, let's be honest to our people. Many of you all got in there, got contracts, and didn't look back because you thought, okay, I'm just going to make the money. And many people got in that didn't know nothing about business. And many of our politicians became politicians, didn't know nothing about business. And guess what? All other coaches came in, reached back for their people without charging them a dime. Everything we do, we want to charge our people. We know our people are ignorant, and we know our people are not financially able to secure themselves for some of these contracts. Let's stop pulling the legs of our own people. Larry, it's not working, is it? It's not working when you and a couple of your boys are the only ones making money. Let's stop it. People start reading and learn business because it's our people that have held us back. It's our people that have been the gatekeepers. Understand and learn business on your own. Have a great day.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let me just say that, I think it's great when we have people with different opinions and different philosophical approach, but I won't put the monkey on the backs of black people in terms of, because there are black people who help black people all the time. And there is a point where even in business that you don't do everything for free. It's not a charity. It's designed like any business. You don't ask a trucker to go out and do trucking and use his truck, pay his insurance, and don't ask him and have him to do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
Business is business. We got to make sure we create sustainability, because if you don't have the ability to make money, no matter what business you're in, you won't be in business.
Yeah.
So our piece is that we're fighting for isn't a blame. We're not going to put blame on black people. There are some things that we take responsibility for, being ready, willing, and able. But when you're ready, willing, and able, I got countless people who are more than qualified doing business globally, but cannot get a contract in the state of Illinois. It's our job as a chamber, when we find there's economic injustice, to speak out against it, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, LaDonna.
I want to be clear that I remember when I first started my marketing company and people would ask me to do things for free. And because I felt like I needed to prove myself, I did. But I was a mother of two. And even if I wasn't, one person said something to me and said, I want you to do this so you can get exposure. And I had to put my foot down and say, if I continue to do this, then I'm going to get exposure. And that's out in the cold with my children. Let's go ahead and grab Terry. Hi, Terry. You're live.
Good morning, LaDonna. Good morning, Larry. How are you all this morning? So good to hear your voice.
Man, I'm fired up.
Fired up and ready to go.
I'm livid. Go ahead, Miss Terry.
You guys are talking some really good stuff about business and business development and procurement, and I'm so happy to be a part of everything that you do, Larry. You guys are doing an outstanding job. And I just want to talk a little bit about some ways that businesses can grow through opportunities, through multi-touches, such as, Larry, what you're talking about, being a part of your business conference and being a part of summits. Multi-touching in sales is what gets your business noticed, is what gets you noticed. So I'm offering up our 4th annual Connect and Contract Summit coming up on March the 30th at Malcolm X College. And it's a way for us to grow from $50,000 businesses, solopreneurs, to entrepreneurs, as Larry talked about. The whole purpose of the summit is to help our businesses secure at least $10 million in opportunities. So we're going to have folks, we're going to give you the opportunity to sit down for at least 15 minutes, one-to-one matchmaking, to talk to people like the Chicago Department of Aviation. The state of Illinois have 15 different agencies that buy so many different things that we have as business owners. We have energy and utility companies coming, transportation companies coming. So we have a lot of different industries that's going to be there. And today, Larry, I'm offering your audience a discount code, CONNECT, CONNECT 2026. And I bet you for this cost, it is absolutely almost nothing. It's almost what the lady was saying before. It's almost free 99. So get in where you fit in. Be a part of the summit. This is our 4th year. And Larry, we look forward to you and all the members of the chambers being there this year. So thank you guys for this opportunity. Larry, keep doing what you're doing. And I look forward to seeing you guys real soon.
All right, Miss Terry.
Absolutely, Terry.
All right, let's move on.
Let me just say this real quick.
Sure.
Is that I encourage people, when there's an opportunity to bring the right people together, like Terry's doing, it's incumbent upon you to put yourself around people where there's an opportunity. And you only need one opportunity that can change your life. One contact with one person, even if that person is no more than a mentor. And you want to be around, when you're around enough people who are focused on procurement and making money, I want to be around that group. That's why I'm going to the Legacy event tonight at 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a bunch of businesses there. I want to be around that.
I heard Terry say something I heard Karen say something about people getting the procurement and not looking back to teach others. Is that really the part of the problem? Because even though we have qualified firms that are waiting and ready and actually bidding, it's not because you're not doing it right. It's because they're not being awarded. Am I saying that correctly?
That's correct. I think she makes a comment, but I would probably differ on the comment in terms of, our people, our people. I think people are willing to share. If you're winning, unless there's someone competing against you, I don't think black people have a problem of sharing how to get contracts because
Mm,
there's not enough of us winning, and there's not enough, and one person can't do all the work
that's
anyway
true. It's a numbers
when
game.
you got billions of dollars. So go ahead to the next caller,
Hey,
Ladonna.
Green, welcome. You're live on the show, on the Wake Up Show.
Good, good, and I'm waking up. God bless you. Good morning. I am a novice, and my thing is I'm a pastor as well. But I hear this great information, and application is everything. Let me make a little parable. If you gave me all of the parts to build a computer, you gave them to me. And I don't know A from B. So I'm talking about application. Where is the citizens' mind, Brother Green's power in helping the Black Caucus, helping BET, helping? How do we help as a see? And that's what the sister was saying. It comes to the community. But application is everything. And if you give me something, but I don't know how to use it, I don't know how to back you. And Larry, God bless you, and forgive me for calling you Larry, like I've been knowing you 100,000 years. But if you, we do, we in our community, we get emotional about what we think, and then we become enemies of ourselves. And you said the legislature is not doing right, but you don't tell me, Brother Green, this is where is the hotline that we call the representative to say, Brother Larry, the procurement, all this stuff. I mean, I don't know how to speak the language, so give me a hotline so I can put on a recording as a citizen. We need you to back A, B, C, D, E, F, G. WBON is the only voice we have, the only educational system that touch us statewide. Where is the hot button where Brother Green could say, this is, Brother Larry could say, this is our problem. This is how they're bamboozling us. Call your representative and say 10132, and they'll know what I'm talking about. And I put in a motherboard for my daughter's
Yeah.
furnace. Don't know what those components on that motherboard do, but I took a picture of the plug-ins and I plugged them back in exactly. Her furnace been running perfect, but I don't have the computer
Yeah.
electronic understanding. So what I'm saying,
Pastor
give
Green.
me
Pastor Green.
that I can. Yes, ma'am.
We're gonna get your number. Okay. I got Shapira's ready to take your number down. We need to have a continued conversation. Is that cool with you?
Yes,
All
and
right,
we
we're gonna do
need
it
to
right
bring.
now.
Absolutely.
Yep, we
And,
got
and,
you.
and,
Yeah.
and let me say this
Hmm.
is that it sounds like we just went dead.
No, she's getting
Oh,
his
okay.
number.
One of the things when I say about the Black Caucus, I don't want people to misunderstand. I don't think the Black Caucus is intentionally doing anything to hurt us. I think that if we don't make sure that they understand that this legislation they passed was their legislation and people are not following the legislation, if we were to foyer all the number of contracts that came out with a 30% goal, you'd probably find less than 1%. It's an insult to the law that they work hard to get out of committee to get
Hmm.
the governor to sign,
Hmm.
and they're not adhering to it. Someone needs to be held accountable. We need to talk about it if there's a reason, and we challenge anyone in state government to come on the air and say, "Well, you were wrong about this." We want to be right about what we're saying.
Yeah.
We have no problem if you come on the air and say, "Look, there's a misunderstanding." And we'll be the first to apologize and say, we got that wrong. Let's clarify it. Because we want our people to have information. What we care about Black business.
Mm.
We
Well, the
don't waver
numbers
in that
don't lie,
commitment.
Larry. I'm sorry. I got to be bad cop here. Someone was asking what the 5 steps for good faith were. Do you mind if I just really rattle those off, and then we're going to grab Michael O'Connor and Mike M. Those 5 steps are outreach to certified BEP vendors, advertising the opportunity widely, breaking contracts into smaller pieces if possible, contacting certified firms directly, and allowing joint ventures or subcontracting. So I hope we answered your question there.
And I'll make this other comment before we hit the next caller. We have too many African Americans in leadership position for us to continue to be doing so poorly and to allow what's going on to go on. It has to become imperative, and it has to become important enough for us to begin to get a little bit disappointed and speak out about it. And that's what the chamber is trying to do. We're trying to bring this to light so that people fix the problem. If they don't fix the problem, it will continue to be as is. We've had 2 years approximately of lower goals, and no one said anything significant. I need it fixed. So whoever's listening at the state level, the chamber needs it fixed. Talk to us, call us, sit us down, so we can tell people these are the steps you're taking to fix it. I don't want to hear about, hey, they're responsible. We need to make them do
Right.
this. Well, pay us to go out and do it. We'll do it, but we're not going to do your job for
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
that you get paid to do. It's
Right.
your job to fix it. You created the problem, you fix the problem.
That's right. Or you will be Christy Gnomed. All right. We're going to go to, actually, just keep in mind, ilbcc.org. That's our website. You will give them their phone number at the end, and then we're going to wrap. But I'm going to grab Mike M. Hey, Mike, you're live.
I think you guys are doing a great job. You know, I'm not even a business person at this time. I did attend one of your anniversaries recently here,
Thank you.
and I was enlightened and informed and educated about things. Where we are here at this time, we all sitting here watching the same movie and of life going on, which they're saying they're laying off people with many jobs. AI is going to eliminate jobs. People are going to go into business. So we need an institution like you guys or somebody to help guide and manage and correct things. When Jesse Jackson was living, when somebody had a problem, they say,
Absolutely.
you need to go to Operation Push. You need to tell Jesse about this.
Mhm.
So you know,
and-
and you're already experiencing people coming to you about this. So you have a very strong position in this state and in the area of business that we need, and it should definitely be supported. I will be joining you, even if I'm not a business person.
We
Well,
appreciate that, Mike
And
M.
let me say this,
Yeah.
in the spirit of Jesse Jackson, that's why we're here,
Mhm.
to make sure, because Jesse, when there was an issue, he spoke out against it and he brought attention to it. And that's what made Jesse Jackson Jesse Jackson. When we have a problem that hurts black businesses, I'm compelled, and the chamber's compelled to speak out against it. We don't get a pass because people hold us responsible. If we don't say anything, no matter who gets mad, our job is to put it in front of them, fix the problem. Let's take the next call.
Absolutely. And just so you know, somebody's asking, when is Lobby Day? Lobby Day is April 14th. That's a long day, but it's well worth it. All right. We got Michael O'Connor. Hi, Mike. You're
Hi,
live. Real quick.
Hi. Good morning.
Good
I'm
morning.
from the legislative staffer for Illinois General Assembly Member Connie Howard. I led the volunteer activities that dealt with passing second chance legislation, implementing now. What I'd like to, so I'm telling you that because I have a little history. I was in Springfield for 13 years. The Department of Central Management Services, it seems to me that first and foremost, I'm sure you guys have a lobbyist, and you have your own lobbyist that's going to be there, hopefully leading April 14th lobby activity. However, with that being said, the ongoing effort, it should not be legislative. It should be implementative. The legislators have done their job. What if there's a problem with the bill? There can be an amendment. Well, this is law now, allegedly. So there can be an amendment to the law to change it if it hurts the Illinois, the ILBC, like you're saying it does. So it seems to me that there needs to be, in order to kill many birds with one stone, there needs to be a lean in or lean on the Department of Central Management Services. Everybody, black legislators have continued.
Mr. Connors, we're going to have to cut you off because we only got a couple minutes left to go.
And can we get your number? Oh, we lost him. Okay.
Let me say
Yeah.
this. Let me say this, Donna. we're in a very pivotal time where we're being attacked on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. And we thought that there was a degree of refuge in the great state of Illinois because we have a governor who's probably going to run for presidency. And we need him to understand that there are some issues here that no one can deny, that when you go from 5,600 to 2,800 and 2,500 African Americans to 947, no one can deny the fact that this is a serious problem and goal setting is being done that's undermining Black people at a significant level. We need to fix it. And we just simply need people to understand what the problem is. We got a lot of African Americans in key positions, and we need to do it. Now, I want to make sure my father says, who was a pastor, give honor where honor's due. There's a lot of great legislators out there. You know, Senator Matty Hunter, the list goes on and on. Will Davis is really one of the great champions when it comes to small business and advocacy. He's been that way ever since I've known him. We got to make sure that we continue to fight for the right thing, for the right reasons. And we're going to do that. As a chamber, it means that sometimes people are going to try to spin the thing that, you know, the chamber is all about themselves. Well, the fact of the matter is the chamber is about you.
Do you think we're being too soft?
I think sometimes we want to play nice, and sometimes you got to turn over the table like Jesus did when he went into the he went into the.
No, I can't. I wish I could give you that info. I know what you're talking about, though.
He went into the plate and he turned over the tables.
He turned over the tables, yeah.
Because he was offended at what they were doing. They were making a mockery of what he held so dearly as the Christ.
We need 20 more minutes, but we don't have it.
Yeah, this is a mockery, guys. This is 2 years of just outright devastation, and that I don't think we understand the impact that it has on our families, college education, supporting organization. When you don't have money and you don't have disposable income, you don't have choices. And if you're not participating or you help create the opportunity, because we pay taxes, we help create the opportunity. They don't give us no breaks,
Larry,
in our community.
It's 10 o'clock. You going?
Okay, I'm sorry.
I love having you in studio, but I got to cut you off, man. All right, guys, you're listening to The Wake Up Show Chicago. We're here each and every Saturday at 9 a.m. You can catch us on WVON, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Look for The Wake Up Show Chicago. And also, make sure you go to our website, ilbcc.org. Lobby Day is April 14th, and that's a month from today. So we would like for you to register. If you go on our website, I put the link in the chat, in the comments on Facebook. Make sure you share this show and make sure you comment so that we can continue to read those ongoing. All the phone numbers that we got, we will be calling you. So don't send me the voicemail. Don't send Larry the voicemail. And that's it, guys. We'll see you next week on The Wake Up Show Chicago. I'm LaDonna Ray. Bye-bye for now.
As we amplify voices, break barriers, and illuminate the path towards a more inclusive tomorrow. Follow us across the socials at The Wake Up Show Chicago. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. It's The Wake Up Show every Saturday morning at 9, where change begins with every sunrise. Welcome to The Wake Up Show Chicago.
That's the end?
The talk of Chicago is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.